Welcome to Contemporary Retirement. Contemporary Retirement is a public interest program focused on the retirement community. Every program has segments on legal, financial, and health issues affecting the retirement community. Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a major grant from the Family Heritage Trust Company.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored by Family Heritage Trust Company. The Family Heritage Trust Company is an independent bank chartered trust company established by local professionals to provide fiduciary services, including fee-based investment advice, trust services, retirement planning, and tax planning. The Family Heritage Trust Company is committed to client service in our communities. For more information, call the Family Heritage Trust Company at 301-631-5900.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a grant from R. Thomas Murphy & Associates, P.C. R. Thomas Murphy & Associates is one of Franklin County's leading law firms, emphasizing estate, trust, elder law, and medical assistance planning.
Welcome to the Is It Legal feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various legal issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Tom Murphy from the R. Thomas Murphy Law Firm with offices in Waynesboro, Chambersburg, and McConnellsburg. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Good morning.
Tom, one of the interesting things about people interacting with elder law attorneys is this perception that when I go to see an elder law attorney, it's going to be this huge production, there's going to be a massive amount of documents, it's going to cost a ton of money.
Yeah, and that's false. The reality is most of the things we're suggesting are very basic papers that cover problems that you're going to potentially experience, and then usually a modest cost, which helps you avoid big costs by not having the paperwork in place.
Now, one of the great challenges here is that by doing a little pre-planning, the old statement that an ounce of prevention versus a pound of cure, is that you get the right documents in place. For most families, it's not going to involve doing anything more than basic documents. And so people look at that basic document and say, well, if it's just basic documents, I can pull it off the internet.
Yeah, you frequently see that, and people bring them in to show me. And the problem is, most of those documents have been dumbed down so badly and are so generic that we can't use them or deal with the important issues that we face, especially in the long-term care world.
And the irony is what we charge for fees is minimal compared to what we're actually doing, which is we're consultants. We talk to people about what this system is actually going to do and what they need to do in order to be prepared. And virtually everything they've heard on the street is wrong.
Exactly, and that's a good point because, as you know very well, everybody's facts are a little different. And so there is no silver bullet for this is what you have to do or this is the way it works. So by sitting down and talking, we're able to go through and say, these are the real rules that affect you, and here's what you need to focus on.
And one of the challenges that we have here in both Maryland and Pennsylvania have adopted statutory powers of attorney. Right. You can get the form on the internet, but ironically, you still have to make choices under the Pennsylvania law, and some of those choices are not obvious as to what the right choice is, and you may have created a problem for yourself.
Exactly, and there's usually, there's a fork in the road. You need to decide whether you're going to go down this limited path or this unlimited path. And for everybody I deal with, we need an unlimited path. And it doesn't say, oh, by the way, if you don't choose A, B, and C, you can't do X, Y, and Z.
And oftentimes, unfortunately, non-elder law attorneys, attorneys who are not specializing in this area, really do not understand the differentiation themselves and will oftentimes naturally opt to a more limited power of attorney, which in this environment is dead wrong.
Exactly. In order to do some of the more sophisticated planning, you need to make the right choices. And if you've got a dumbed down document that doesn't allow for that and someone loses capacity, then we've got a major problem.
And that's the same issue that we have in Maryland, because in Maryland, the statutory form, which you can pull off of the internet, has first of all been updated 3 times since the statute changed. And I know you have the same problem in Pennsylvania, so you could be pulling up the wrong form anyway and not even know that you did. But secondarily, the statutory form on the internet does not have a gifting clause, which would mean you could not do medical assistance planning that involved any gifting transfers.
And that's an excellent point, and people just wouldn't know that unless they've done tremendous research, but even then they wouldn't know how to use it properly. And so, a lot of what we're providing for folks is information and choices and explanations of what the choices mean.
And then we have all kinds of traps that people who do not work regularly in this environment build into the documents, which are just totally unnecessary. For instance, I appoint my husband, in the event of his incapacity, my child. Well, what does incapacity mean?
Well, exactly. And how are you going to prove it? And how many doctors do you need? Or can you even get a doctor to say that if you're just simply sick or out of the country?
What you're really saying when you do that is, I trust my child when I don't know what I'm doing, but I don't trust him when I do.
That's a good point. And, you know, realistically, you need people you trust no matter what the circumstances, and don't put these arbitrary triggers and problems in place for them.
You know, people are worried about the loss of control, and I think loss of control is a legitimate matter to be concerned about. But the price of trying to maintain complete control is you have probably interfered with your ability to take advantage of many of the benefits that are out there, because we now have a person who is not legally incapacitated but also incapable of exercising the plan.
Exactly. And once you hit those roadblocks, then we're into a situation of asking some judge to dictate your choices, and you know that's not usually what people want.
Well, I don't know about the costs in Pennsylvania, but in Maryland, that process can be $10,000 to $15,000 with multiple lawyers, multiple court proceedings, and oftentimes delaying the process for 6 months, 12 months. And the reality is you're private paying a nursing home bill during that time, out of a fear that a child who you've never had a problem with is going to act inappropriately.
Exactly. You have a good point there. And we do these things for be able to move quickly and efficiently. And if you have to wait 6 months to get in to see a judge, I mean, that's potentially $60,000 to $80,000.
Tom, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
You're welcome.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Few things in life are as important as family. Leave your insurance orders to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
Every life that meets its end leaves a heart for love to mend. Sister, brother, family, friends are left to carry on. When the loss seems more than you can bear, it's nice to know that we'll be there at Double Safe Fiery Funeral Home. We care.
Call Ed Lowe to help put your mind at ease.
Welcome to a special guest feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various issues which are of importance to the retirement community. My guest today is Sharon Shergott, co-chairperson, AAU Book Sale in Washington County. Welcome to the show, Sharon.
Thank you.
Sharon, first of all, we don't allow acronyms here, although it's always called an AAUW. What the heck does that mean?
The American Association of University Women.
It's been around a while.
It has, over 100 years.
And what's one of the purposes of the AAUW as it was originally established and as it continues today?
To empower women and to educate women and to foster equality.
And I think for the younger women watching this, they need to be aware that, you know, when you start in 1881, you know, women getting educations was not something that was well supported, although today it's much more common, obviously.
Right. That's correct. We've come a long way since the 1880s.
So tell me a little bit about your meetings and what occurs.
We frequently have speakers about topics of interest to women, reports on legislation that is occurring in Washington, and generally social topics. We have a good time.
But you're also, one of your primary goals was once again to support the education of women. So, and I know it's a requirement of your organization that you have an advanced degree in order to join.
That's correct. We encourage and foster young women getting education by offering scholarships annually.
All right, so you have these scholarships, and then how do you fund them?
Through our annual book sale, where we have over 30,000 used books for sale to the community.
All right, so I know that that's coming up. So when does the date of that sale begin?
April 18th, we start with an preview night where there's a $10 admission, and it's a great opportunity to look for that particular book before everybody else has a chance. And then the sale is Thursday and Friday from 10 to 8. And there's no admission for the sale on those days, and then it concludes on Saturday, the 21st.
And Saturday, it's like the old clearance. Everything must go, right?
That's what we hope. We sell a grocery shopping bag for $5, and however many you can get into that bag, you're welcome to take out the door, and you can buy as many bags as you choose.
And so at this juncture in the year, it's not time for contributions anymore because you're putting it all together. But as soon as you complete that, you'll resume that process all over again for the following 2019.
Generally, we start gearing up again on May 1. We take about a week and a half to catch our breath, and then we start up again.
All right, and so when you then sell those books, then you create the funding then for your scholarships.
That's correct.
And so just before we go back to the sale and kind of reiterating that, how does a young lady find out about those scholarships?
The information is available in the high schools with the guidance counselors. They have a regular compilation of all the available scholarships, and we're listed among them.
And then do you have a committee within your organization?
Yes, there is a committee that makes that determination. And students can renew from year to year.
Well, that's good because some of the scholarships don't allow for that, so that's great.
That's a unique feature.
All right, so on that Wednesday night you have the preview. So you pay the $10. That means you can actually go in there and purchase those books and go look for that very specific one that you want. Perhaps one that was a bestseller 6 months ago might be in there at a much lower price than you would pay at a bookstore for it.
Correct. And we do have a lot of those very, very recent books in a topic called Current and Choice.
All right, and then it began sort of first come, first served then on Thursday and Friday then?
Yes. The doors open and lots of people come in. There's a line at the door, and then you generally don't have to elbow your way in because there's more than enough books for everybody.
And then Saturday, everything must go?
Yes.
All right. And where is the sale these days?
At 1000 Florida Avenue in the ARC building. It's on the far left side of the complex, door number 4.
So it has a big complex, plenty of opportunity for the books, and plenty of opportunity for people to look at them.
Right, and there's more than enough parking for everyone.
Okay, so once again, let's go down those dates again. When does it begin?
Wednesday, April the 18th.
No, that's the preview.
Correct,
Now,
5 to 8.
All right, so how does a person get into the preview? Do they have to pre-purchase or can they buy at the door?
Buy at the door.
Okay, so just show up between 5 and 8 with your $10 bill in hand, and then you can go pre-select in the process.
Yes, and then Thursday and Friday, 10 to 8, and then Saturday, 9 to 2.
All right, so once again, begins April 18th on Wednesday through that Saturday at the 1000 Florida Avenue, the ARC building.
Correct.
Sharon, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Tranquility at Fredericktown Assisted Living and Memory Care provides a warm, home-like atmosphere that promotes daily life enrichment. At Tranquility, our medical director is a geriatric physician. Our professionals support and understand the various stages associated with Alzheimer's and dementia. We have on-site physical, occupational, and speech therapists, as well as around-the-clock licensed nurses. For more information, give Tranquility at Fredericktown a call today, because everyone deserves great care. Let us do the caregiving so you and your loved one can embrace life again.
Dad, there's the big one. There's the big one. Just wait. There's the monster. Just one more bid on hurleyauctions.com. I got it.
If you haven't visited hurleyauctions.com, you don't know what you're missing. Whether you're buying or selling, antique cars, tractors, boats, or real estate, you can do it all at hurleyauctions.com.
Get to know Dr. Carrie Hesley at Diagnostic Imaging Services.
What I find most rewarding is caring for women through our Women's Imaging Center. We have a caring staff that will ease patients through an ultrasound, bone densitometry, breast biopsy, or mammogram. Our health team is sensitive to emotions involved in women's imaging and understands that every woman is at risk for breast cancer. Providing the community with a center that is so dedicated to breast health and the imaging needs of women is something special.
DIS Women's Imaging Center, providing women with progressive care.
Welcome to Contemporary Health Scene. Contemporary Health Scene focuses on the health issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Paul Sweeney, President of Quality First Insurance. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Thanks for having me this morning, Mike.
Paul, as always, when we introduce you on the health segment, why are you on our health segment?
Well, because we deal with a specialized type of insurance product for people that are retired.
health insurance.
Health insurance, exactly.
And so as we look at that, we saw a lot of confusion in that industry, which was fairly well eliminated in the early 90s. What transition was that all about?
Well, in the early 90s, Medicare standardized their supplemental insurance programs, which didn't mean a lot to people at the time that it happened, but it does make it easier for people to make a comparison from one insurance carrier to another.
So it was wild, wild west out there. Every policy was different. Terms within the policies could mean differing things. And so in the early 90s, we got these standardized policies. And then really for almost 20 years, not a lot of thought required. Just look at to see which one of them suited you the best.
And then in 2010, there was a kind of an upgrade of the products. It was called the modernized plans. They standardized them in 1992, and then they modernized them in 2010. And what they did is they kind of fine-tuned the programs. They kind of eliminated some that were duplicating benefits, and then they added a couple of extra plans.
And then, of course, with the advent of Part D, several of the plans had a very limited prescription drug plan, not very good by Part D standards at all.
Right. Originally, Medicare Part D prescription drug plans didn't come about until 2006. So from 1992 to 2006, there were plans H, I, and J that had a prescription drug benefit associated with it, but they were very limited in scope. Most of them were capped at $1,250.
It's essentially trading dollars with the insurance company, with them collecting a premium.
Right. The premium just went up dramatically if you added that particular benefit, and you're exactly right. You were just paying for the amount of money you might get back out of the policy.
But with 2006, and we had the advent of Part D, where these are effective prescription drug plans. Not necessarily good, but effective.
Right, and I talk to people today, and they don't realize that before 2006, there really was no option for somebody to get a prescription drug benefit. Before 2006, Medicare did not have a prescription drug benefit. So people today that are signing up for it are kind of questioning, well, why is it designed this way? You know, it was designed this way because it was brand new in 2006. And
60% of Medicare recipients did not have a prescription plan in 2005.
Right, you're exactly right. And a lot of people were anxious to get the programs. They signed them up. There's about, well, back then there were about 40 different programs that were available for people to use. Now there's about a little bit more than 20 in the state of Maryland. Pennsylvania's a little bit different. But the programs are designed to help pay for prescription drug costs. And there's something that a lot of people have heard about. It's called the coverage gap, or a lot of people call it the donut hole, that is actually going away over the next couple of years.
Yeah, and so people can complain all they want about the Affordable Care Act. You and I don't agree on it, but in terms of the retirement community, in fact, it is a benefit. It's not a negative, and yet they sort of pipe into that chirping that it's all bad for everybody.
Right. The Affordable Care Act did address the prescription drug plan and is in the process of eliminating the Part D donut hole or coverage gap. And in 2020, there's going to be just standardized coverage for everything. There's not going to be a donut hole any longer.
Who knows? But in any event, but in terms of the retirement communities, we oftentimes talk, you can debate all you want, the under 65, whether it's a good plan or not, but it's the over 65, it really is a benefit.
Absolutely. And we're counseling people all the time. And the big tough part for people is when they retire, a lot of people aren't retiring at age 65 any longer. They're continuing to work for another year or two because they can't draw full Social Security benefits until beyond age 66 now. So there's a lot of debate as to whether it's a good idea to stay with the group plan that I'm on right now, or do I go on to Medicare, and when do I go on to Medicare?
And that's part of the counseling that you do, because in fact you have to be very careful about when you opt into the Part B premium, because you can actually foul up a benefit that you're entitled to if you opt into it when it wasn't necessary.
Yeah, unfortunately we see that all the time. So if you sign up for Part B of Medicare, which there's a cost associated with, too early, you may lose your guaranteed issue period. It's called open enrollment for 6 months, and if you sign up for it too early, you may not have that any longer.
Everybody hears you're supposed to do it, and the answer is if you are 65 and you're not covered by an employer plan, then you probably need to be signing up for that Part B premium. Very few exceptions as to that. But if you're already continuing to stay employed by an employer plan, you don't need to sign up for Part B, and you're also potentially giving up a benefit that you would have had.
That's 100% correct, Mike. If you're on a group plan and you're covered by that plan, do not sign up for Medicare Part B.
Paul, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
The Community Foundation continues to create great impact in Frederick County, thanks to generous donors. As our community evolves, so do we. While we don't have a real crystal ball that can predict the future, we are poised and ready to see things differently and help nonprofits, city and county agencies, civic groups, faith-based organizations, businesses, families, and individuals to solve problems within our community.
Albright, Crumbacker, Mal and ITEL are a full-service firm that provides elder care services including managing incoming bills, bill payment, depositing checks, balancing bank statements, and preparing, planning, and filing personal tax returns. Put your mind at ease and call us today.
Welcome to the Making Sense feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various financial issues which are of importance to the retirement community. With me today is Ed Lowe, Financial Advisor, Northwestern Mutual. Welcome to the show, Ed.
Thank you. Good morning.
You know, Ed, one of the ironies of you appearing on this show is oftentimes what we're going to be talking about is not in terms of selling a product to a client, but it's the passion that you and I have had for many years to protect our clients from some abusive products which have been sold to them. And oftentimes they have absolutely no idea what the product actually is.
Yeah, all life insurance policies, unfortunately, are not equal. There are many different types of contracts sold by mutual companies and then others sold by stock companies.
And part of the issue here is there, for many years, when I first started practicing 40 couple of years ago, there were only two types of policies. There was a whole life product, which you made this level premium, you paid the premium, and when you died, you got a death benefit. And then there were term policies in which you knew you're only purchasing coverage for certain periods of time. If you failed to die during that time, you paid a lot less premium, but the insurance company got to keep your money.
That's true. And then around the early to mid 80s, there was a new product that hit the market called Universal Life, which was sort of a hybrid of a whole life contract.
And oftentimes people thought during that period, and for the next 20 years or so, we saw a ton of these products being sold, that the insurance company was making too much money. So the insurance company essentially offered the person an opportunity to participate in the investments, but exchanged for which they didn't realize they were taking a risk that their policy may not pay a death benefit.
Well, that's true, and despite the fact that in the early days they paid very high rates of interest, the most important differential, I would say, in that product is the fact that annually the internal cost of the life insurance premium increases.
Well, one of the things that we find is almost everybody that has one of these products don't understand that they have it, and they don't understand that if you continue that product for a period of time and you fail to die, if you die early, it's really not a problem, but most of us don't like to make a bet that requires that we die early.
That's true, and you know the downside of that product again is that internal cost of insurance increasing, and in the older ages it just gets phenomenally expensive.
Now I know half our viewership is saying I don't have one of these things, I don't need to pay attention to this thing, but we're going to have cameraman Clint hit this page right here, and what we're going to see is if you get a statement that looks like this on your insurance policy each year, you've got a problem. And we can see on this policy right here that it's going to erode in cash value about $5,000, that the cost of insurance, this number right over here, is $11,000 for 1 year of continuing coverage for a person who's getting older. And what it means is that they got a letter from the insurance company saying if you want to continue this policy, you're going to have to start now making an annual premium payment of in excess of $11,000.
That's correct, and you see that cost of insurance there, Mike, at $11,537. That's going to actually be a larger number when they get their report next year in March.
Because it's based upon their attained age. And so what people don't realize is if you're getting a statement that looks like that on your life insurance, in light of the rates that have been paid for the last 10 years, you probably have a policy that may never pay a death benefit if you live too long.
That's right. So this client is 75 years old and he's put $160,000 of premium in this contract from the day he bought it at $5,000 a year. The letter they just received said they have to pay over $11,000 this year premium just in order to keep that product.
For 1 year?
For 1 year. And of course next year that cost of insurance is going to go up. And the guy's in very good health, so by the time he's 80 years old, there's not going to be a policy in place at all. In fact, maybe even earlier than that.
And so what we caution people about in these things, you need to understand what they say. And the fact is, if you're sitting here at 50 to 60 years old with one of these policies, you're in good health, you're going to have to think about replacing that policy. And one of the ironies is this client actually had two policies. One was a traditional whole life product through Northwestern Mutual. Original death benefit was $250,000, but with the same $5,000 annual premium. What's the value of that policy today as a death benefit?
The death benefit on that policy is over $1.1 million because of the dividends increasing the death benefit, and the cash value is over $800,000. This client put $200,000 to date into that contract, has over $800,000 of cash, $1.1 million of death benefit, compared to the $5,000 in that contract where he has $18,000 of cash value.
Which is going to be gone next year.
Which is going to be gone next year if he doesn't put in the $11,000.
Yeah, and so what people don't realize, there is no free lunch here. When we're looking at these older policies, sometimes you have to look at a person and say, I want to cash that thing in before I waste away the last of that cash value and keep that annual, but I have no death benefit, whereas if you had had a traditional whole life product, that policy would still be alive. And if you bought it from a mutual, meaning that you're part owner of the company, you would have gotten those dividends.
You'd have gotten those dividends, and in the case we just talked about, the death benefit at $250,000 40 years ago is now $1.1 million.
Ed, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you from Contemporary Retirement.
Remember a more carefree time? Leave your insurance worries to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
These days, it seems like everything's online, and filling out claim forms and receiving and paying bills online isn't always easiest. That's why we at Quality First Insurance encourage you to just give us a call. Let us help.
Hi there, I'm Paul Sweeney with Quality First Insurance, and it's still just this simple. Our offices are open every weekday where you'll be able to call and speak to real, live people.
No detail was missed. I'm so glad that I turned to Quality First Insurance.
I've recommended Quality First Insurance to my friends who've been just as satisfied.
If you're not happy with what you're paying for Medigap, or more importantly, not happy with your service, give us a try. We're locally owned, and we take the time to provide you with the best. We are Quality First Insurance, and our mission is to provide quality products to quality people. Pick up the phone and give us a call today at 800-745-1411.